Our semester project for the year was to grow a specific amount of coral in a limited amount of time. Now, we purchased our coral from the Bluefish Aquarium in Granville, and through the state we received a grant that allowed us to do this project. Now, our strand of coral is called a Zambian wisp. Now, this strand of coral is a photosynthetic life form, which means that it grows through the light itself. You can target feed it with brine shrimp, but it is not necessary for the growth of the coral.
General maintenance of the tank is that we clean the tank out about once a week. We usually start out by sponging out the inside of the glass and pick up all the muck that the mollusks don't get. We also test the levels of various chemicals in the water, such as calcium carbonate, nitrates, phosphates, and a whole bunch of other stuff by dipping in a strip that tests all of those things at once that's put in for like 1 second. Also, we set the light on a timer, which is extremely powerful UV light, by the way, and was one of the major parts of the grant that we were fortunate enough to get. The light is set on a timer for about 8 hours a day. It goes on usually during the school day, which is really convenient. There's one small fan at the base of the tank that moves the water around. Also, there's a skimmer at the back right. The skimmer works by pulling water out of the tank and then bubbling it up with this aeration tube. And then as the water bubbles up, most of the scummy stuff gets pulled up into the bubbles, which pours out over into a cup. And then the cup can just be dumped out really easily. So that works really conveniently. There is a thermometer as well. And in addition to the thermometer, there is an accompanying heater, more or less, that keeps the tank at just around 72 or 73 degrees, which is what's specified for about both coral as well as the shrimp. Finally, there's a filter in the back top left, which is more or less like a tertiary filter in the wastewater treatment process. So basically the water just pours over these rocks, and the rocks just absorb most of the bacteria and other bad things out of it. It works pretty simply.
We also share the tank with another species of coral and with other organisms such as candy cane shrimp and mollusks. Now, the tank is adjusted to accommodate both organisms and the other strand of coral. We also ran into a problem of bubble algae. Now, the outbreak began about a month in, and what the algae does is it forms on the coral, and then if you pop it, it'll spread as a sort of disease. Now, what we had to do with the bubble algae is that we had to go through and remove it by hand with a set of tweezers. Now, during the removal, we had to take the coral out of the water, which was a very hard process without killing it or accidentally stabbing the coral with the tweezers. Once the bubble algae was removed, we returned the coral to the tank and everything was okay again. Now, the whole goal of this project was to split the coral and resell it back to the Bluefish Aquarium. Now, we haven't quite reached the process yet to split the coral because it isn't quite big enough yet. We're hopefully looking forward to next semester to finally complete this project by splitting the coral and selling it back to the Bluefish Aquarium. Now, the realistic goal of doing this is probably in about 2 to 3 months. Now, we hopefully want to complete this project within that time frame. Well, thanks again for your time for listening to our presentation, and if you have any questions, please let us know.